So this morning I got up and I had my coffee and I was looking at, okay, what content do I want to create today? I happen to be freezing. It's 5 degrees outside. Pretty cold, so I thought that cold calling is going to be the topic of today. Even though in my training, the way I teach teams and sales reps, cold calling is not the first thing that we cover, today I want it to be something kind of early on in this channel that we're going to go over. The reason for that is that it's probably the most feared and most hated aspect of business development. The companies that I work for, the sales reps that I teach, they all say, hey, I hate cold calling, but I have to do it. A lot of people also question the effectiveness of cold calling. Yes, it's taken a hit over the years, but that's because people keep doing it wrong. I can show you a better way to do it that's more modern and kind of brings you up with the times, and it's just going to get better results. So I can't dive into everything that I teach today, but I wanted to give a quick 101 into cold calling and how you should be approaching it. Let's dive in. All right, so let's begin with why cold calling has such a bad rap, right? I think we could really start at the very definition of what cold calling is, and that it doesn't look very good. So if you look here, so making an unsolicited call on someone by phone or in person in an attempt to sell goods or services. Even the sentence they use to illustrate it talks about severe new regulations against cold calling. So right out of the gate, it is not something that is looked at in a positive way in sales and business development. This is something we can change, but first let's take a look at really what people are doing and how they're kind of cold calling today. This is what I see when I start working with a lot of companies. So what reps normally do, okay, this is the big reveal, right? I'm just going to go ahead and show you. That's it. That's what they normally do. They call, and then maybe they call again, right? Maybe they leave a voicemail. This is just basically what happens, right? They're taking this very literally and saying cold calling needs to always be calling, okay? I combine everything into essentially cold prospecting, right? But instead of just having a definition of the cold call like we had the last slide, let's try to rethink this. So let's change the definition and let's make it into something that I firmly believe is the reason that you have a job, okay? And if we look at this definition, I just made this up, right? This is the way I teach it. It's value building intro. It's not cold calling. It's not emailing. It's not cold anything. It's a value building intro, okay? We want to make contact with a potential customer in order to provide value and begin to build a trusted relationship. So right from the beginning, if you can change your mindset from that cold calling definition to this definition, you're just going to have better results. You're going to start with the right mindset. You're going to go into it the right way, and your prospect on the other line will feel that. So moving down the line and getting into a little bit more of how I teach. Now there's a lot more steps than I can show today, but at just that 30,000 foot level, this 101 version that I want to give today, let me show you how I would approach this, okay? The first step that you want to do is not just picking up the phone and dialing, it's researching who you're talking to. Now, there are times and ways of doing this, right? There's different flavors. If you're selling a really low ticket item, this research phase is a lot shorter, might not even really be applicable. It just kind of depends on a lot of different things. If you're selling really high ticket, 7-figure, long sales cycle, this stage is absolutely critical. You never want to just go in blind to any cold prospecting or value building attempt. So you start with the recon, which is a lot of different ways. Then you're going to go into this first email. I always do an email attempt before a call. In the reconning, in that stage 1, you might have found their email address, or you might know what that email address could be. Even if you don't have their email, or you get it wrong, or it bounces and you take a guess and it's, John.Smith or J Smith at company, whatever, right? Even if it's wrong and it bounces back, that's okay because it gives you a talking point when you get in touch with that person. This email, this attempt is not, it is not going to be what you typically see. If you look back at what reps normally do, the call pretty much goes something like, Hey, this is so-and-so from so-and-so company. I know I'm catching you out of the blue, but do you have so-and-so minutes to hear about what I sell, right? 99.9% of the time, nobody's going to say, yes, please interrupt my day. Please tell me all about what you sell or the product or service that you're offering, and please pitch me. That just doesn't work, okay? The modern buyer does not work. The expectations have changed. So that approach is one that we just don't use. Instead, this email here, this first attempt at value building, is going to be just that. If you work with your marketing team to create collateral and documents, case studies, PDFs, whatever, that sounds great. If you don't have a marketing team and you have to do it yourself, do that. Hold sales webinars, hold, demo video, whatever, okay? Value based. Now, because this is a cold attempt, we're going to assume they don't really know who you are, but they're in your target demographic to sell your product or service to. Tell them why. Okay? But illustrate it in a way that is not, hey, this is what we sell or the product or service that we offer. This is the solution we provide to your problems. So go with that in this first one. From there, we're going to move down, and then you can make that first call. The first call should not be what I just illustrated as that wrong example. That first call could be a follow-up to the email. Hey, I just wanted to give you a shout. Want to see if you got that email. Sent you this really cool PDF. On page 3, you're going to find some information I think is really relevant to what you're doing. And I just wanted to make an introduction and let you know that I sent that. That's it. Okay, that's it. On that call, of course, feel it out. And there's ways that you can move that call down if they're receptive. And this is all about, I kind of teach a lot of this, reading the room and understanding when to say, okay, this is it, or when to continue going down that, path, right? So let's say this first cold call, they're not really answering the phone, and that's fine. I teach what I call my laws of 7. Now, it takes on average at least 7 attempts to have someone move down that chain, right? At least 7 touch points to have them move through really any stage of the sales funnel. So you have to account for that. I didn't really build that out in this particular example, but definitely laws of 7 is something you should be thinking about, right? So many reps, they give up after 1 or 2 or 3 attempts, and then that's just it. That lead's dead, that lead's gone, and you're not staying top of mind. But if you research right, so that's stage 1 here, and then you do a cold email, that's stage 2, and then you do a call reach out, that's stage 3, then you can come down here and you can go to number 4, which is another email attempt, right? So let's say you don't get them on the phone. You can do another email attempt. I like emails because you can track them and you can see if someone's opening them. You can see if you have the right email address and you can continue building that out, right? A lot of email, I also work through a lot of automation and a lot of systems. So these emails can be sent by you as long as there's tracking in place, or they can be sent by a CRM, which can automatically track what they're doing, what they're clicking, can tag them. It can organize them based on the actions they take or do not take, right? So from there, then we want to go into something that every rep should be doing, and I see so many reps doing it incorrectly, and that is connecting on social media, right? So connecting on LinkedIn. So many times I get connection requests that are simply either they have no message or they're hey, it looks like you're in my network, we should connect. Or they're talking about, hey, this is what we do, I'd love to partner with you, right? Again, not effective. One, you got to make sure that your LinkedIn profile is up to date and it's a good representation of you and the company that you work for, okay? So that's number 1. Then you got to make sure that you have the right messaging in place for that LinkedIn reach out, okay? You have to also understand that they're likely not to respond to that. You want to see if they're just going to accept your friend request right out of the gate, right? If they do, but you haven't heard back an email, you haven't talked to them on the phone, at least you're getting that connection. At least they're starting to understand, oh, this is so-and-so from this company, right? But again, stop asking them to take their time. Stop asking them to book 30 minutes. Stop doing that right now. You're all about value and educating them on your product or service. Doing that correctly builds the trust. It builds the relationship, and they are more likely to respond and take the next step with you. So the last step in this process here, which is not really the last step that you always want to do, but this is a really good upgrade to probably what you're doing, is sending them another email, okay? So again, I like to use the email. It's trackable. And so this one, if you connect on LinkedIn, you can send out another email that's just, hey, just that. And the subject can be LinkedIn or the subject can be connect. And you can literally say, hey, I just shot you a connection request. Loved, I want to follow your work and hope you're having a great week. I'll talk to you soon. Another trick that I do in these that works really, really well And I give a lot of different scripts in my training for what you can use, and you can find the script and you can modify that to get the best results. But one thing that I do on a lot of these is I ask them if they're attending an event or conference this year, this quarter, whatever. Most all industries have these. Chances are you might be going to some or exhibiting at some. You might be attending certain things, whether it's a, if it's local, maybe it's a chamber of commerce or a town or a city or event, right? If it's a national thing, maybe it's a conference in Chicago and you might be going. So if you put in there on this, number 6 example here, hey, I just connected with you on LinkedIn. I want to follow more of the work that you're doing. Also, are you attending conference name by chance this year? If so, we'll be there and I'd love to connect. Even if you're not going, you can just say, hey, I won't be attending this year, but I'd love to know what you think of it if you've attended in the past. That's a conversation starter. You're building that relationship. You're building that rapport. Okay. And that goes a long way. Notice how in any of these, I haven't really said, hey, would you like to book time with me to hear about my product or service? That's not what I'm doing. The timing of this stuff varies, and it varies based on a lot of factors. What you sell, the price point, how long that sales cycle typically needs to be or is, and you're trying to get it to a different point. I help teach all of my clients that, right? So we got to understand how to build out the process for not only your business, but build out the process for the prospects that you're going after. This process here that I've just illustrated, this can be 4 days. It could be 2 weeks. It just kind of really depends, right? But use some of the data, try to track all this, understand what they're doing. And if you start using these, I think you're going to have much better results, okay? All right, so hopefully this helped. Again, just a really quick 101, 30,000 foot view dive into how I approach cold calling. I got a free sales training at palmersalestraining.com. I'll also link it in the description here. But please go there, sign up, grab that free training. It goes into more of this. It's less than an hour long, and I think you'll get a lot of value from it. So go check it out, and then I want to connect with you when you're done, okay? Have a good one.